Hey guys, I'm Shane, welcome back to the shop. So today we're starting part 3 of the how to build a LARP sword and the craft school. So we're continuing with this sword here. So the blade was all made up in number 2, all nicely rounded and smoothed. So today we're going to carry on with the handle and the hilt. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is trying to continue this curve and then actually make it sink down. So it's going to go over and then down. Okay. It's quite easy, even though we've got a straight core. As you can see, the top goes off that way, yeah, and that one goes over that way. So we're going to go slightly following that up and then over. But first we're going to wrap this. Okay, so we have our sword and we're going to cover this handle now. So this is all done with 5mm craft foam, yeah. So find yourself a nice piece, and then what we're going to do, because we want to carry on this curve, we're going to put it straight up to the blade. And we're going to mark where the end of the core goes, and then we can move that, take our ruler and add an extra inch. You've got to have an extra inch on the end of this core to protect the pommel, even though we're not going to be striking with the pommel. I mean, you can go an inch and a half if you like. Alright, and then we're going to, I normally do about a 15cm wrap, but we're going to be adding to that anyway, so I'm just going to do 15 centimeters for now. Okay, so we've got our 15 centimeter area. Okay, we're going to cut that out. Right, so we've got our bit of foam that's going to wrap across this. Now you can do this one of two ways. You can glue this up and then glue all of this and then wrap it up, or now this is double-sided sticky tape or double-sided carpet fitters tape, and then all I do is on the end and just cover it. Now there is a little bit left off there, so I'm just going to trim that off. Right, now that's completely covered, as you can see. So now we have to peel that off. Sorry. Okay, so that's got our double-sided sticky tape on it. Now what we're going to do is start at one side, so right at the end. Now, easiest way to do this is put that on there and over the top and just press it down. Make sure you get a good bite on that first bit. Right, so that's what we're left with, okay? Now we're going to wrap this over here, okay? And there's still about an inch or so left over. That's going to squash down. Don't worry about that. All right, now I tend to put the blade flat up against this and then just roll it so I can squeeze it uniformly, yeah? So you get a nice tight fit. Now if I was doing this the glue method, I would now have to glue the outside, wait for it to dry and then carry on rolling. That's why I prefer to do it this way. Now as you can see, there's a small gap in there. Squeeze it. Now because this has got a lip, obviously, where that thing, we're going to smooth that out. So just put your blade on it and cut it flush. Now we need to smooth that out so it's a nice smooth round part. Okay, so that's now rounded off. So we've got a nice tight grip. Now we need to make sure that isn't going to move. So for that, electrical tape. Now it doesn't have to be good stuff, it just needs to be able to keep that tight, and really squeeze this on, guys. Make sure it's not going anywhere, yeah, to the point where you're digging into the foam. So now that's typed up, yeah, you've got a nice tight grip, that ain't going anywhere. Okay, now what we need to do is build this up so it's the same length here, and then that's going to thin out at the top here. I'll explain as we go, but it's going to be the same width as this, top and bottom. Now you can do it with wrapping it up like we have done. 10mm foam for this, But as you can see, I'm using offcuts, so it's a good way of getting rid of all your off, okay? Or you could just do it in sections. Build it up and build it up. But I recommend at least wrapping it up at least once. So glue that onto there, wrap it up until you get level with this and level with this. Okay, so this is glued up. We've made a chamfer on this side, and that side's glued, and we've glued up this. So what we're going to do, oh, and also this side here. So you put in the chamfer edge like that, like so. Yeah, so there's the chamfer. Now we're going to make that bite by hitting it, pushing it down. And it's now glued up to this side as well. Now we do the same thing as we did last time, and we just roll it nice and tight. And try and keep everything on. Now once we hit where the chamfer meets up, give it a good roll. That should bite on. Right, now we've got this extra, obviously, so we need to get rid of that. So follow the contour of your bit of foam and just cut that off. There we go. Now we've got that nice and tight. That won't need any tape over it, that's fine. But we still need to build up this top. So don't worry too much about how ugly this looks. What I'm going to do is take strips of old foam and join it up to the top there and just bend it over. I'm only doing this top, so I'm doing half over here and half over here, so it's just going over this top bit. Don't worry about the bottom because that's now flush, as you can see. Yeah? So we only need to build up this top part. That's no good anymore. So glue up here, on here, and glue that. So this side has been damaged, so we're just going to do it with that side. So start halfway over, drop it on, give it a squeeze, and then attach the top. Keep it bending. Make sure it all bites nice and neatly. And then cut off the excess. So there we have, it's flush at the top and flush at the bottom. Okay, so that's nice and straight. Don't worry about how ugly it looks, we're going to trim that off. So now we need to finish this bit. Okay, so we've got to make that flush with that and that. Okay, so this has now been covered, so this is now all flush, and so is this. Now, because I want this to arch down, I'm going to be taking some of this back off here, and I need to add a little bit to the bottom to give the illusion that it arches. Okay, so what we're going to do is glue another piece onto this bottom and round here. So just like we did on the top bit, we're only going halfway. So this is one of the reasons we keep all our scrap foam. So now we have a larger end, yeah. So this could be like a bastard sword, so we're going to use this. That looks very ugly and it's very bulky. So what we're going to do now is just give this a couple of minutes, dry out. So I'm going to trim this head flush. That's all done. We're going to trim it. Right, we're going to start with the side. So it doesn't want to be, as you can see, there's a nice big lip both sides. So we're going to cut that flush. Do it gently, take bit by bit if you need to. Don't try and rush it. If you need to, come shallow so you're curving up. So if you're unsure, then you know, and then just keep that nicely tightened. Okay, so I know I'm just about right there. Don't worry about going too much into it because we're going to be doing the rest with the belt sander. Okay, make sure everything's still glued. Now I've took a nice big chunk, but as you can see, it tapers out. That's not a problem. We're going to be using the belt sander anyway. Again, same on here, the end. Now we need this illusion to make it look like it bends down. So now I've got a flat side, I can adjust it. Now my core, so we've got about 10 mil, oh, it's 8 mil core, so always give yourself a little bit of room. Now legally it's got to be 5mm from a non-striking edge. Yes, so from the edge to the edge of the core. Now this is non-striking because it's the handle. So I only need a 5mm gap, which is what that second line there for. Now another 5mm will be there. An area where I cannot go into. So that area I've got to stay out of. So you've got your 8mm core, 5 metre on top of that would make that 13, and then another 5 metres below that would give you your 18. So 18mm. So if you just go 20mm, so 20mm, I can't go in there. This needs to come down slightly. So I know I can go right up to that edge. So all I'm going to do is go close to it. Not quite on it, so I'm going to have about 7 or 8mm. And then again, from here, I'm just going to take, I will be taking this centerpiece in a touch. So from about there, just, so following from here, from the very tip there, I'm just marking it up. I'm going to be taking some of that out. So a nice long curve. And then extending it to this bottom. Okay, so now I know where I can cut. So if I cut that bit off there and I start cutting in about here, just taking it up to my line, keep it going. Don't worry if you get close to the lining underneath, that's not an issue. Now, I want this bit out, so I'm going to cut that bit there, so I know where I'm going. So now we have the illusion that this bends down, as you can see. And we've still got a straight core in it. Now what we're going to do is go on the belt sander and smooth all that out. Okay, so this has now been rounded to a decent enough level. And it's all, that's in line and it sinks down there, and that's in line and that comes down. So you've got this nice arch. Okay, just to make sure this stays tight, we're going to put some more of the electrical tape over it. And again, you want this as tight as you could possibly make it. Nice, solid grip, yeah? And we've got our curve that I wanted. So that is the basic hilt building. Okay, so now what we're going to do is to build the cross guard and the pommel. So now we've got that on, we've got a nice smooth finish. However, some of you might want to put effects onto this instead of just wrapping it with leather or something like that. If that's the case, put a skin of 2mm foam over the top of this, smooth it down as much as you can, and then you can glue all your details onto it. I'm going to be putting a cross guard and a pommel on this, and then wrapping the inside with leather. So I've got this basic plan on here on what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to use a bit of paper and draw a template, a rough template. Okay, I only need it halfway, so there. It's going to come to there, and then rough it out from there. And then up. Okay, so I know that doesn't look like much at the moment, but it will, I promise you. So really, you know, exaggerate those curves. This is an elven sword. Keep your bit of paper, by the way. They can be transferred over, so you're going to glue those on. Okay, so we have one part covered. So that's part of the cross guard. Now I'm not just happy with that. I like a little bit more flash for my elven blades. So we're going to do that again. Only this time I want it a little bit shorter. So if I use this template again. Now I'll start at this end. So it's going to literally just give me a couple of mil on the bottom there. So again, use your curves. It's an elven sword. Elves love curves. So I'm going to really exaggerate these curves. And then we cut that out, just like we did before. Okay, so we want 2 of those out of 5mm, and then put them on there. So we have our cross guard. I haven't put any detail on it yet. We're going to be doing that next step. But right now we've got a cross guard. Okay, and my hand fits snug right up to it. You got a little bit of an angle at the top, a little bit of one at the bottom, and this groove here, your hand, your thumb and your forefinger fit perfectly into it. So I'm happy with that. So what we're going to do now is work our way down. Now a lot of people like to put a nice big pommel end on it. So what I'm going to do with this though is, following that example, I'm going to put an angle across. So I could, if I wanted, use this blade like a 2-hander or a 1.5. It's going to be going at the same angle as that. If I did it that way, it's going to feel weird when I put my hand on it. So it's got to be the same width. Okay, so what we're going to do, similar how we've done that, I'm just going to put 2 rings around this, a larger one and then a smaller one. Now I don't want it to go anywhere past this, so it's just going to be 2 large rings, but I'm going to do them at this angle. Okay, so we've got our first ring on it. Now obviously I want this angle, so I'm going to use the top line because it's slightly off-centered. Okay, so start with the top, which is there in the middle, and I'm going to just come down slightly to about there, and then I'm going to angle that back in. Okay, so using my sharp knife, I'm just going to trim. I'm going to put a bit more of an angle in it actually, to make it stand out a touch. The way I've done this, a lot of people will probably disagree, but I've only cut out this side. Now the reason I've done that is because I've got to do the exact same on that side. So if I use the bit I've just cut out as a template, I should be in the rough ballpark area. Now I need to even this end up, so I'm going to put another piece and cover that. So glue this end up. Okay, so we've got that first bit done. Now what I've done is glued this part and this part. And what I'm going to do is just put this on as an end cap. So make sure it's flush either side and just cram it on. Once I've got that, I can start trimming it. Don't have to be exact at this point because we are going to take it on the sander and get it done properly. It just gives us that little bit of room to play with. So I'm just following around the edge. We now have an end cap to our sword. Now you can put on any type you want, but this is just a basic showing. Alright, now I have this other piece because I want a bit of detailing on it, so I'm just going to put that there. Alright, pull it round, just like we did last time. Try and keep it straight. And then onto there. Okay, so it doesn't look very pretty at the minute, but it will. With your pen, figure out your centre line, wherever it is. Alright, now where that's gone on, it's just angled out here slightly. So I need that level. So I'm cutting that bit off to give me a flawless seam there. Okay, now just making sure it's not done that anywhere else. It has a little bit there. It's just where the foam's bent and twisted, so rather than it being straight. Now I can do whichever pattern I want. Now I'm going to follow the same lines. So we've finished putting the main build together. We've done the blade earlier in part 2 and we've put the hilt together in this part. So this is what we're left with. So we have the cross guard here. Okay, we have this curved handle, and then we have this pommeled end. Now we're going to be putting a load of detail on this, like we're going to be putting some rivets down the blade for bloodletting, probably tart this up a little bit. This will be getting wrapped in leather, so, and then we'll do something with this pommel end as well. She is starting to take form. So that's it for this video. If you guys have any questions or you want to see me try and build something else, put it in the comments below. If you want to know what sort of materials to use, get in touch, I'll let you know. Please subscribe to the channel and like the videos, click the bell as well so you know when I do go live, and I'll see you in the next video.